Attempted suicide and the near-death experience. Near-death experiences, NDEs, are often thought of as positive and uplifting. There are many reports, however, that portray the experience as negative or frightening. A study of over 700 NDE reports found that just under 9% of cases were considered frightening. A near-death experience following a suicide attempt often falls in the frightening or mixed category, Table 1. Frightening, 8.6%. Mixed, 37.3%. Wonderful, 54.0%. In this report we examine illustrative NDE reports following an attempted suicide. A general trend seems to suggest that suicide NDEs may contain hellish elements, but they may also contain understanding, comfort, and a new outlook on the problems prompting the suicide attempt. Murder is a major taboo in our society, and this perspective is apparent in the celestial realms as well. Accordingly, some reports include a virtual scolding from the spirit world. This hellish event was the result of attempted suicide, from the Near-Death Experience Research Foundation, NDERF.org, case number 159, Peters NDE. The spirit then communicated, "You have no right to hurt yourself or anyone else, because you and everyone else are the personal property of God." All this took place in a black void. There was nothing there. All negative aspects of my nature were magnified far more than what they are here in the physical realm. There was no escaping from myself. The NDERF.org website is a fascinating resource run by Jeffrey Long, MD, see reference 1 at the end of this article and in the video description. Another example comes from Angie Fenimore, who wrote a book about her experience, Beyond the Darkness. See reference 2. In her experience she finds herself in a space with other teenagers who also committed suicide. They all seem to be zombie-like and self-absorbed. She tried to talk to one of them.
She was just like the rest of them, her empty gaze fixed on nothing, staring blankly forward. They were all dead, and so was I. Then she heard the voice. The darkness vibrated. Every particle of darkness reverberated with the words, "This is God." I knew there was infinite power in that voice. Is this what you really want?
And later,
is this what you really want? Don't you know that this is the worst thing you could have done? You can't take your own life, it's not yours to take.
Lest you get the wrong takeaway from this encounter, she goes on to have a more compassionate experience, coming away with a deeper understanding to the conditions that led to her decision to take her own life. One commentary describes it this way, see reference 3.
Angie's hell was nothing like the fiery realm of Christian folklore. There were no horned devils with red-hot tridents, none of the sadistic torturers and disemboweled bodies of Bosch and Bruegel. Apart from being sucked, painfully, into a malevolent darkness, Angie's hell was unique, a psychic dramatization of the very things that drove her to suicide in the first place. Her hell is inhabited by listless, expressionless suicide victims who were entirely self-absorbed.
See reference 3. Many people are driven to suicide from deep emotional pain. They think escape can be found in death. Famous psychic Edgar Cayce, however, said so often, "There is no death." Cayce points to the Great Pyramid at Giza, claiming it is the world's largest tomb. Yet, no body was ever found there. The significance, there is no death. This next incident is typical of that message. Reference 4. A woman who attempted suicide felt herself sucked into a void.
I was being drawn into this dark abyss, or tunnel, or void. I was not aware of my body as I know it. I was terrified. I felt terror. I had expected nothingness, I expected the big sleep, I expected oblivion, and I found now that I was going to another plane, and it frightened me. I wanted nothingness, but this force was pulling me somewhere I didn't want to go, but I never got beyond the fog.
Here, the point is that you don't die. Life goes on in another dimension. This, of course, is a good thing. You don't die. This is a surprise to many who commit suicide. Writer and speaker Yolande Stout brings the point home. See reference 5 below or in the video description. She was suffering from extreme depression and willing herself to die.
I felt like I was in a warm bath of love. Pure, unconditional love. It was warm, it was welcoming. All my fears were gone.
Another case comes from the archives of the International Association of Near-Death Studies. See reference 6. This report was from another attempted suicide.
Profound love and peace permeated every being everywhere. What I know to be the energy of angels greeted me with the tenderest, warmest energy. I felt embraced by them. They morphed into billowy forms and surrounded me. Their hearts glowed, radiating and pulsing with light of vibrant colors.
This, of course, is more in line with the predominant sentiment found in the afterlife. After all, it seems we have a kind, all-powerful, and loving Creator. At the same time, it's difficult to map the landscape of the afterlife when the nature of spirit is so symbolic. Many describe this realm as home. And returning home is the natural state of the soul. The experience in the body is simply a temporary learning device that reflects themes found in several spiritual texts. In the following examples, from A Course in Miracles, references 7, 8, and 9.
The body does not exist except as a learning device for the mind.
And,
I have said that the Holy Spirit is the motivation for miracles. He always tells you that only the mind is real, because only the mind can be shared. The body is separate, and therefore cannot be part of you. To be of one mind is meaningful, but to be one body is meaningless. By the laws of mind, then, the body is meaningless.
And finally,
these practice sessions, like our last review, are centered around a central theme with which we start and end each lesson. It is this: I am not a body, for I am free. For I am still as God created me.
In summary, these otherworldly experiences are rarely hellish in nature, even for those who attempt suicide. Rather, their NDE seems to provide a new perspective that helps them cope with the conditions that led to the self-destructive behavior in the first place. This doesn't mean the attempt is condoned, as there are always consequences to such acts. The restorative nature of the NDE encounter seems instead to offer insights that actually help to reduce the urge to seek oblivion. As leading NDE researcher, Bruce Grayson put it,
attempted suicide is correlated with an increased subsequent risk of committed suicide. However, preliminary data and psychodynamic hypotheses suggest that serious suicide attempts followed by transcendental near-death experiences, NDEs, may decrease rather than increase subsequent overt suicide risk, despite the NDE's apparent romanticization of death.
Best advice, then, is not to commit suicide. Death is no escape, and you just might get a reprimand from the Almighty.